Late one evening, the CEO, dressed in simple clothes to blend in with his staff, walked quietly through the company's nearly empty parking lot. The night was calm, the kind of silence that made every little sound echo. As he passed by the corner where the security booth stood, something unusual caught his attention. A soft, flickering glow escaped through the small window. Curious, he stepped closer. Peering inside, he saw the security guard, a middle-aged man with tired eyes, sitting alone at a small desk. But instead of sleeping or scrolling through his phone, the guard was bent over a battered textbook, its pages worn and creased. In his hand was a cheap flashlight, its weak beam barely enough to light the words on the page. The man's face was focused, determined, yet weary. He underlined sentences with a borrowed pen, whispering formulas under his breath as though every word mattered. The sight stopped the CEO in his tracks. This was not just a man passing time. This was someone fighting for something bigger. A man using the quiet hours of the night, despite exhaustion, to study, to learn, to build a future. The CEO felt a wave of admiration and curiosity. Why would someone go to such lengths in such difficult conditions? As he watched, unseen, he realized he was not looking at just a guard doing his job. He was looking at a dream in progress, shining faintly under the beam of a failing flashlight. The CEO tapped lightly on the booth door, not wanting to startle the guard. The man looked up quickly, embarrassed, and closed his book halfway as though he'd been caught doing something wrong. The CEO smiled gently and asked what he was studying. After a moment of hesitation, the guard admitted he was preparing for his engineering exams. He explained that he had always dreamed of becoming an engineer, but life had been harsh. He had to take this night job to provide for his family, leaving him with little time or energy to study. He spoke quietly, almost ashamed, saying that tuition fees were too high, so he was teaching himself with borrowed books. Every night, while the city slept, he studied under the dim glow of a flashlight because the booth had no proper light. His words revealed both struggle and determination. He confessed that sometimes fatigue nearly broke him, but he couldn't let go of his dream. He wanted to show his children that no matter how hard life gets, you should never give up on what you believe in. The CEO listened silently, his heart heavy. He expected to find a tired worker killing time, but instead he discovered a man pushing through exhaustion to chase a dream that seemed almost impossible. In that small booth, with nothing but a flashlight and a fragile hope, the guard's resilience shone brighter than anything the CEO had seen in a long time. The guard quickly apologized, worried he might lose his job for studying while on duty. He fumbled to put the book away, but the CEO stopped him with a reassuring smile. "Don't be ashamed," he said softly. "It takes strength to keep learning, even when life makes it hard." The guard looked at him, surprised by the kindness in his voice. No one had ever encouraged him like that before. Most people dismissed his dream as unrealistic, yet here was a stranger telling him it was worth holding on to. The guard explained that sometimes his co-workers teased him for wasting time with books, saying he would never escape his position. But he never let those words crush him. He believed that if he kept going, someday an opportunity would open. His eyes carried both pain and hope, as if he was clinging to a thin thread of faith. The CEO felt an ache in his chest as he listened. He had spent years surrounded by wealth and success, yet here was a man who had nothing but was still rich in determination. As they talked, the CEO realized this guard was not just working for a paycheck. He was fighting for a future, for dignity, for the chance to rewrite his story. The encounter lingered in the CEO's mind long after he left the booth that night. Deep down, he knew this meeting was no accident. Something inside him was telling him he had to act. A few days later, the company gathered for its weekly meeting. The employees filled the hall, expecting routine announcements. But this time, the atmosphere was different. The CEO stepped onto the stage, no longer in disguise, and looked out at the faces before him. With a steady voice, he began to tell a story, not about profits, sales, or strategies, but about a quiet moment he had witnessed one late night. He described the glow of a small flashlight in the security booth and the man he found inside, fighting exhaustion to study for a dream bigger than his circumstances. As the employees listened, many leaned forward, touched by the story. The guard sat among them, unaware at first that the CEO was speaking about him. Then, slowly, realization dawned on his face. The CEO paused, looked directly at the guard, and called him by name. The room fell silent. He announced that the company would fully fund the guard's education, pay for his tuition, books, and living expenses, and provide mentorship to help him achieve his goal of becoming an engineer. The guard's eyes widened, filling with tears he tried to hold back. He stood frozen as the room erupted in applause. Colleagues who had once teased him now clapped and cheered. Overwhelmed, he finally broke down, covering his face as emotions poured out. In that moment, his years of silent struggle transformed into hope, and the life he thought impossible suddenly became within reach. Months later, the once tired security guard sat proudly in a bright classroom, his books spread neatly across a desk. This time, he wasn't relying on a fading flashlight, he had everything he needed. His eyes glowed with focus and excitement as he listened to the professor, jotting down notes with the same determination that had carried him through those long nights in the booth. Back at the company, the CEO often thought about that night in the parking lot. He had seen many success stories, but none as powerful as the quiet courage of a man who refused to give up. Watching the guard transform into a student, and soon into the engineer he always dreamed of becoming, reminded him of something essential, that true greatness isn't measured by titles or wealth, but by perseverance and the willingness to help one another. The guard's story began to spread, inspiring not just his colleagues but people far beyond the company walls. He became a symbol of resilience and hope, proof that no dream is too distant when met with hard work and a helping hand. In the end, what started as the dim glow of a flashlight in the dark turned into a shining future. The CEO's act of compassion didn't just change one man's life, it lit a spark that reminded everyone who heard it that kindness, no matter how small, has the power to transform the world.